This week's podcast is brought to you by Dog and Gun Coffee. Now, I've been talking about these guys for quite a while now. I've been a subscriber to their coffee bags every single month. It's one of those super exciting days every month when you get a delivery and you're like, what is it? And then you realize it's coffee and your day just gets so much better. But I actually am a subscriber to their Samba brew. The Samba blend is the one that I love. But on my recent hunt, the hunt that was on this podcast, that I was on during this podcast, I took some of their preloaded filter drips. And so essentially, it's like a preloaded filtered pouch that you break open, you pull it over your cup, and you've got coffee on the go no matter where you are. So if you're in the cold hills and you've got yourself a little jet boil or something like that, you can boil yourself up some brew. If you've got a billy, boil yourself up some water and pour it straight in, and you've got a brew. I also like to make cold brews off of their preloaded drips by just chucking it into like a protein shaker, filling it up with some water, shaking it about, leaving it in the cooler for a few hours, and then all of a sudden you've got a cold brew. But what I love about these guys is that it's great coffee designed and built by great humans who actually have a real love for hunting. And so the biggest thing is that they are a company that support conservation, they support hunters, and I think that is just something that is so invaluable for I want to say passion that is always under attack, under scrutiny from the outside world. So to have companies like Dog and Gun fighting for us as hunters, I think is absolutely amazing. And is one of the many reasons why you should also support them. And you can support them by going to Dog and Gun to their website and using the code Bowhunter, all in capitals. That's Bowhunter, all in capitals, one word, and you'll get $10 off your next order.
Hey there, and welcome to Becoming a Bowhunter. I'm your host, Matty, and join me and our guests as we take the quality of meat back into our own hands, searching the wild for free-ranged animals to harvest as ethically as we can. I interview a variety of specialists from the bow hunting community to help fast-track your journey as a bow hunter. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this chinwag on one of your favorite topics in the world, bow hunting.
Hey legend, just before we get started, I wanted to let you know about the knife giveaway that I'm doing right now. So you can go to becomingabowhunter.com and you can enter in your first name and your email address. And what that will do is put you in the draw to win this awesome Tassie Tiger knife that we're giving away. It's called the Tassie Devil. And this has quickly become my favorite knife. I've got about 10 different knives, and this one is just like, it's small, it's compact. The handle is half the width and the blade is the other half of the width. You feel like you've got complete control of the knife when you're utilizing it. And I used it for everything when I was out on this last trip. It was my skinner, it was my main butchering knife, and it really is an incredible bit of gear. The other thing I really love about it is that they've coated it in this material that essentially means that it can't rust. So if you're to use it out like I did on a cold, wet morning, and then put it in your pack, you have no worries of the blade actually rusting. If you forget about your knife and leave it in your pack for between hunts, let's say, I know there's a few people who've done that and they've come back and they've got a rusty knife, and so you don't ever have to worry about that with this Tassie Tiger knife. But you can go to becomingabowhunter.com and enter your first name and email address. You'll also be entering the email list that I've just started up, which means that you're going to be receiving extra content from me, which has been really well received from everyone who's jumped on the list so far. So it'd be cool to have some email comms with you. I'd love to hear from you after you've jumped on that list. So yeah, head across becomingabowhunter.com to get in the draw to win that Tassie Tiger knife. Howdy team, welcome back to another episode. This episode I'm excited to share with you. As you'll hear, we had tried to do this previously, but this one actually worked, which I'm excited to share. Rob Morris is one of the 4 part from the Blonde Nomads. So realistically, Rob and his family get to essentially they're influencers, and they get to travel around Australia and travel around parts of the world, sharing their experience with traveling as a family. And I'm going to kind of let him do a lot of the explaining, because it's what we talk about a lot on the podcast. And realistically, it's a newfound world for not only them, but I think for the world of influencers in general. So they're kind of uncovering and unturning those stones as they go. One thing that this podcast was recorded the night before we had started our few-day hunt together. And what really shines through and what's very evident is that Rob is a very genuine dude. Very loving, caring guy in general, but of all things, he's very genuine. That really shines across, I think, in the message that they portray on the Blonde Nomads, but also just in the podcast that we do together. So you can follow them at the Blonde Nomads on Instagram, as well as follow Rob as at Rob_plus_stuff. So yeah. Get along, follow them, enjoy their journey. They put up some really cool stuff, especially for young families. I think there's so much content there that is so valuable. So I'll always sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Alrighty, welcome back to Becoming Bowhunter. Another in-person one, which I'm excited for. Rob, I drove 9 hours to be here with you today.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
I just got to ask, are you recording this one this time?
Yeah. No, you know what? So
something happened last time, didn't it?
Yes. So I was about to say that you're the first person it's ever happened to where the file was corrupt after we had recorded it, and so I looked on it recorded. It said it was recorded. And as soon as I tried to open it, it was corrupt and I could do nothing with the file. I've never, ever had that before. Never before you, never after you. So let's hope that this one works. If not, we've got, we just decided, 2 hours until Randy gets here anyway.
Yep.
So we've got some waiting to do.
Let's have a crack.
But Rob Morris, welcome.
Thank you.
So we actually met through Instagram. We were kind of just talking about this before. Met through Instagram. You've done the Bowhunter Challenge.
Yep.
And you and your wife and your family essentially run Blonde Nomads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's maybe delve into Blonde Nomads first, and then we'll go into hunting after that.
All right. Quick little Blonde Nomads intro.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those who don't know or don't know everything, my wife Trace and I, we go by the name the Blonde Nomads. And even though I'm a bit darker now, which gets pointed out all the time, our kids are blonde and Trace is blonde, so 3 out of 4 is not bad. So we're an adventurous travelling Aussie family, and we're social media content creators.
How did that come about? Because you were a builder.
Yes, I was in the building trade for 22 years down in Sydney, and I started getting a bit jack of it. My body wasn't sort of handling it, nor was my mind. Mm-hmm. And when our first child was born, Marley, our little girl, I started this Instagram thing, which was pretty brand new at the time. Yep. I started this Instagram page. I think I called it Robbo's Adventures or something. Mm-hmm. And I just started posting, shots from, my adventures. And then pretty quickly, previous to that, before kids, Trace and I had been around Australia in a camper van.
Yep.
So a lot of those shots made it onto the page and everything. And then obviously...
So you just had like a big collection of content that you'd utilise?
Yeah.
Sort of thing?
Yeah. I mean, I was just doing it for fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's just Robbo's Adventures.
Yeah.
I was just chucking stuff up, and it was I was on Facebook, but this was the first sort of social media platform. Instagram was brand new, so it was like, this is
the platform for photos, right?
Yeah. So it was cool, playing around with it. And then obviously we had a newborn, and we started sharing our travels and adventures with a newborn, and that has sort of attracted some more attention. And I quickly actually changed the name to the Blonde Nomads because it was becoming of our family, not just me.
Yeah.
And when going back to what I was saying, pre-kids, Trace and I travelled around Australia in a camper van, and my mum then called us the Blonde Nomads because back then we weren't old enough to be grey nomads. She's like, oh, you guys will have to be Blonde Nomads. So that's where the name came from. And Yeah, we've been doing it 9.5 years now.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
we sort of just slowly built it up, and we got more interest in what we did and what we were doing. And then I think it was about 4 years in, we decided to. I quit the building. Trace was a stay-at-home mum. We had our little boy by then as well, and we sold up in Sydney. And got a deal with a caravan mob and travelled around Australia living in a caravan for 2.5 years.
Amazing.
Yeah. And
2.5 years. It's a big stint.
That's a long time. With a 2 and a 4-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. What was like the biggest drive you guys would do with the kids?
Probably at a stretch, maybe 6 or 7, like at a real stretch. We tried to keep it around 3.
Yeah.
We had the little back of the headset DVD players and all that. We had all the tricks in the book, mate.
Yeah.
We had it dialed by the end of it, or even well before then. And so we went right round Oz, including Tassie, for 2.5 years, and we ended up, which was always the plan, we ended up in Port Stephens, which is 2.5 hours north of Sydney. And we lived in the van there for a couple of months, and Marley started school, and we bought a house, and now we live in paradise. That's
amazing.
That's
it is
our home base.
Beautiful area, right?
Yeah,
just
love
an
it.
amazing
It's
part
just,
of the world.
Just an adventure playground. So,
But I mean, it's kind of gone from more than just taking people on your adventures to now you guys go and do a lot of the shows, right, around Australia. Do some of the full drive full drive shows, some of the caravan shows, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
And so, what sort of stuff is required of you when you go to that?
So I think we've done 2. I think we've done a Sydney and a Brizzy show so far. Basically, they just get us there to present on stage.
Yeah, cool.
So it's the actual shows that get us there, and we just get up and share our story and share some funny stories or some hints and tips about travelling with the kids, and just sort of entertain as best we can.
Yeah, definitely. And so is that the same for the Instagram page? You guys get hit up all the time for like, hey, how do you do it with kids? How does it actually work?
Yeah, and that's actually early on in the piece, we did get a lot of questions about, hey, like particularly Trace was getting a question, hey, what pram do you use? And I'm like, oh, Trace, you better take this one. I got no idea. I'll just push it. And so she's like, oh, well, bugger it, I'll start a website and start writing some blogs.
Yeah, cool.
So that's what led to the website and the blogs, trying to answer a lot of those questions. So now, we're constantly getting, I won't say bombarded because we like
it. Yeah,
we
exactly.
like helping people.
Yep.
We get a lot of questions about, hey, how do you set up your van? What did you do this? And we just Trace just sends them links to our blogs or videos that we've done or something. And,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so
far out. Who would have thought, right? Like if you were to go back 15 years and tell 15 year ago Rob.
Oh, shit, I wish I was 30.
Hey mate, this is what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Like it's an unfathomable thing, right? Think about back
wild,
then.
Yeah. And when we started 9.5 years ago, there wasn't even really such a thing as an influencer. People were just on there for fun.
Yeah.
And now slowly but surely we've managed to turn it into a business, and we've been evolving with the platforms and with the ecosystem of what this content creating influencer is. Like
it looks like, yep.
Well, there's no handbook how to do it.
No,
we've just sort of made it up like everyone else has.
Yeah.
So.
I think you guys are actually doing a really good job of it because you see so many people that I don't know, they might get a free shirt or something like that and they're an influencer all of a sudden. But
yeah, we get a lot of people just wanting to give us free shit.
Yeah.
And which is great. Sometimes we even do take some free stuff and promote it just because we feel like the people doing it are like they've got a great product.
Definitely.
They might be a mum or dad little startup.
Up and comer.
We're like,
yep.
This is, we're going to give that some juice,
Definitely.
But, we say no to a lot of stuff. And the main reason is because either we don't like to work with any product that we either don't use, wouldn't use, or haven't used.
Yeah,
definitely. If we wouldn't use it, have used it, or would like to use it, we don't like to. It's kind of like selling your soul, and it's very easy to do that when you're trying to get the business started because you're saying no to cash.
Yeah, definitely.
But we've kind of we've sacrificed that in the years leading up to where we are now. that we now have an audience that when we do promote something,
they're happy to go and buy it and do that.
They trust us because they know that we don't promote.
I think it's the same for like any brand, any business in general. Like they've got a marketing message that they're trying to portray, and it's the same thing for you guys, right? Like you've got your message that you're saying and doing. You don't want to muddy that message up because it can ruin you guys as a brand.
Well, it's short-term gain for long-term pain. You know, like it's good to get a little bit of cash in, obviously, especially when you've got a family.
Yeah, definitely.
But, if it's going to damage our brand and our our trustworthy as influencers and experts on all these products, then it's not worth it for us.
Yeah, definitely. And so, what's your favourite part about the Blonde Nomads, like as a piece? Obviously, it's kind of like your whole life, right?
It's 100%. Yeah, it's 24/7. There's no days off. I think, and it just reminded me sitting here with you. It's the meeting people, or just connecting with good people,
definitely,
and building a network where cool things happen, and also helping. Like as I mentioned, we get a lot of questions and everything. Often I'll just send them audio messages back. I know you're big on the audio messages.
Works a treat.
Or sometimes even a video message. Just quick DM back, and they think that's fantastic because I've obviously taken the time out to do that.
Yep.
They've got exactly the information they were after because they come to us looking for expert advice, and so I like that. I like helping people out.
Definitely.
If
it's rewarding on that part of it as well.
If I've got knowledge that can help them and they're after it, then it's good to share.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you've tried and tested a lot of stuff as well, you can say, hey, this is the cheap brand, this is a more expensive brand, this is what I found of this brand and why I liked it more. That sort of stuff is just so invaluable sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to go and drop, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 grand on a caravan, you want to know that what you're getting is going to do the part that you need it to do around Australia.
Funny quick story, when we moved to Port Stephens, where we are now, we were had the kids in Nippers, at the beach surf club and that, and I was cooking the barbie, and this bloke came up and he said, "Rob Chase from the Blonde Nomads." I'm like, yes, doesn't happen often, and he's like, "Oh, I messaged you, mid-COVID. He's a Pommy bloke." He said, "I messaged you mid-COVID. We emigrated from England and." We bought a Jayco caravan because of you guys. We bought a Ford Ranger because of you guys."
Wow.
And he said, "I messaged you. We were stuck in Bustleton in WA, and we're looking. We did a big trip of Australia looking for somewhere to live. And I messaged you and said, we're thinking about the sunny coast or, down near Port Stephens, And he asked us, what we liked about it, and we, said what we thought and why we chose it and everything. And he said, not only did I buy the caravan and the car." Just like you guys, he said, "I now live 3 streets away."
There you go.
We're like, holy shit, we've got some responsibility here. Quite changing.
Have you run into him again since?
Yeah, a couple of times.
There you go.
Yeah, we're influencing people's lives. We're like,
that's amazing.
That's a weight on your shoulders.
It's pretty extreme when you put it like that, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's the first time it really hit us. We're like, wow, this guy made life decisions.
Yeah,
based
a lot
on,
of life
on
decisions.
and that's why we, like I said, we take what we do put out very seriously.
Yeah, great pride in what you do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the stuff that you use is such good quality, right? Like to be able to travel to Australia is a hard thing. It's a hearty thing to do.
Yeah.
To drive all the way around Australia and spend 2.5 years on the road, like that's pretty hefty.
Yeah.
What did you do for like car servicing and stuff like that? Did you have certain dealers you'd go to around the place, certain mechanics, or did you just find your most local?
I think because our old Ford Ranger was set up and it had a lift kit and a GVM upgrade and it had a few interesting out of the ordinary kind of 4-wheel drive bits on it, 2 fuel filters and a few bits and bobs. I think I even asked our followers a couple of times, or if I knew someone in that area, I'd message them and say, hey, what's a really good 4-wheel drive service place, and I'd get their input and then just go there. It's local knowledge, mate. You can't
exactly. Yeah, those referrals are the best, which is why influencers are so important, I think, and why they do so well for people, because that local knowledge or the knowledge of the product is so valuable to most people, right? Like,
100%.
I'd take a referral from, like, realistically, if someone was to refer me to go and do some body work to someone, or something like that, I would 100%
body work.
get a massage or physio or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm with you.
Yeah, I refer to that because that's like the easiest one that I can think of off the top of my head that I've used in real life, of going to a shit masseuse, for instance, or a shit physio, and realistically, if you get a referral, you're like, okay, I'm going there. Why would I not? Yeah, and the same thing for everything, right?
Yeah. As long as you trust that person.
Yes,
and that's what you build.
Yeah, definitely
over a long time.
Let's talk about maybe just if you were to do it in two different ways. So if you were to drive around Australia, not with a caravan set up, what would you make sure that your car had?
With kids still?
Let's say without kids.
There's so many variables.
Yeah, definitely. Let's say without kids to start with.
Oh, man. You've got to have a dual battery system.
Yeah.
You've got to have a second battery that, you run. So second battery, got to have a fridge.
Yeah, agreed. It's the life changer.
Yeah.
Really is.
I reckon that's probably the
two big things.
Two main things.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I reckon. I mean, obviously, carry your water and, stuff like that, but yeah, fridge and a second battery.
I've only just set my car up recently with the second battery, like probably in the last year, and it's literally such a game changer. Just to have that fridge and be able to go wherever you want. Like, we can run lights now whenever we set up for camping. We've got the fridge, we've got everything. We're set. It's crazy.
I've had a fridge in my last 3 cars back to 2006. Mm-hmm. So I've had a fridge in my car for 15 years now. I don't know how people get away without it. Like, it's just so, once you've got it there, it's so handy.
Yep.
Like, I can be out and about and I'm like, oh, we need a bit of shopping at home. I'll just go shopping. I might not be home for 4 hours.
Yep.
Just chuck it in the fridge.
Doesn't matter.
That's so handy.
I actually don't carry mine around all the time. I should.
Oh, dude. Once you do and it's on,
I'm afraid
you'll be
of it.
surprised how many.
It's because I went for the biggest one possible. Being that we've got a young family, we went straight for the 95 litre fridge.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Fit a body in there, mate.
Mate, we eat a lot.
I've heard.
Mate, we would fit pretty much most of my red stag in there. So, yeah, it's very handy, but it's also that big. I'm like, I don't really need that. It's a bit excessive just for me driving around town. So hence why it goes back in the garage.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to get a small one as well.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, we're in a pretty interesting situation where we've been invited to come for a hunt with Grant Rand, which is amazing.
I still don't quite know why I'm here.
We were kind of talking about that beforehand, and it's a funny situation where he kind of got caught up in Sydney with life, and we said, mate, we're going to be there about 5. He's like, I'll be there about 11, just let yourselves in.
Yeah.
So kind of gave us all the details, and we walked in, it's like a little wonderland. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's epic. I mean, it's a rough diamond.
Definitely. Yeah.
But as far as a hunting camp goes, it's a luxury.
I was going to say, it's probably, like I think I did say to you, it's better than some of the paid blocks I've been to.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Incredible little setup. But let's kind of talk about the hunting side. Like, obviously there's a whole adventure side to you, and I'm sure the hunting kind of ties into that somewhere. So where do the two worlds meet? Like, what made you want to adventure more and get outdoors?
I've got about 5 worlds, I reckon. I've got so many hobbies. It's not. I change my hobbies with my underpants. So I've been hunting since. I don't think you're allowed to shoot a gun till you're 12, so I'll say 12.
Once you're fully licensed.
Yeah, that's have a miner's license and everything. So I've been out hunting with Dad ever since I can remember, and that was all rifle hunting.
Yeah,
let's call it shooting.
Yeah,
back then, and we never really sort of hunted for meat or anything. It was all just sort of pest control, but the focus was never always on the hunting.
No.
It was about just getting out and, having a campfire and having some cook-ups and riding some motorbikes and catching some yabbies and...
enjoying the farm life.
Yeah, just spending time together and, all that. And there was obviously, hunting and shooting involved in that as well. But, it was just a part of the big package sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. Kind of same for me, right? Having that farm background. And every time we go back out to the farm, it's all about that. It's about just hanging out, having fun. Like, we go and set up farm games and stuff. Like, it's so good just to have that space you can always go back to as a family. I think it really is. It's almost like just a good way to kind of build better relationships with your family. Yeah. And it's like my mum's cousin. I just call him my uncle for ease. we'll go and see him, and it's like every 2 years. So essentially, we don't talk between that time. But you go and see them again, you just build this new relationship with them. And every time we leave, he goes, "Oh, it's good to get to know you again, mate."
Because a lot's changed in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot to get to know again.
Well, I mean, we haven't gone out since COVID, so it's almost been 4 years. And next year's the first year we're going back, so we'll have a whole new life to explain. He's never met my kids or anything like that. Yeah, so I think the last time I saw him was my wedding. So yeah. I'm excited for it. Should be good.
Yeah, nice.
But that's kind of the same sort of setup for you guys, right? Like you go out to the same place quite regularly. You and your dad?
Yeah, so my dad and I have been going out to a property out near Burke since I was 9, and pretty much every year. So him and about six or seven of his mates have been going out hunting since they were 18, and my dad's 75 now.
And they haven't missed a year?
Haven't missed a year.
Wow, that's amazing.
When they were like 18 and 20 and 22, before wives and kids, they'd go out every long weekend. They had an old ex-ambulance, and they used to lie about 10 of them in the back. This is when you could do this. And they drive all night, and they just keep switching drivers and everything. And then then they had an old car up there that they tied a sofa to the top, and that was their hunting. Like, some of the stories are wild.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that's the kind of, crew they were. It's funny though, like when I say all what they got up to, people go, "Oh, gee, that sounds wild." I'm like, yeah, but the funny thing is, they were so safe with rifles.
Yeah, gotcha.
They were dangerous with everything else up there. Like, they used to tow surf skis behind the cars down the irrigation channels and all like crazy stuff. But as far as the rifles go, like no alcohol. Everyone had to check everyone's rifles. All the magazines went in the glove box. It's amazing.
That's good. That's awesome to see that, right, from a young age. Was there some backstory to that as to why? No. They were just all really conscious about it. Yeah.
And inside the sheds where they used to stay, they used to cut out of the newspapers when newspapers were a thing. Any story about a rifle accident or because everyone always gets shot with an unloaded rifle.
Exactly.
So that was all plastered up there, and they were
that's really cool.
And they've passed all that on to us now.
Yep.
So now I'm extremely safe with my rifles.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's funny because I've just done my gun safety course. It was good, but I feel like there's not enough. It's not enough hands-on for what it is. Like, essentially, I can go and get my license now, and there's not really that much talk.
Yeah.
Like, there is. You do a day course, but I still feel like there could be more.
It's been a long time because I did it when I was like 14 or 15 to get my miner's permit, so I haven't done it since then.
Yeah.
But in the day course, do you get to handle a rifle?
You do. So you get we got to shoot a 22 and we got to shoot a shotgun.
Yeah.
And you had to show how you do it all and everything in front of him, but it's all of 5 rounds. So you load your magazine, you do it, boom, 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 and then you put your rifle down, you're done. And that's kind of it. You just had to show you're proficient in doing what he showed us at the start of the day. Yep. And so that was kind of it. Whereas, like, for instance, being a member up at the Ridge Group with like what they've got going at Wild Country with Clark McGee and stuff, I've noticed a lot of the implementations that they do for any rifle hunters, and it turns out because they've had accidents, like you said, a lot of accidents happen with an unloaded rifle, where I believe someone shot through the floor of a car or something like that.
Yeah, I'll just interject. When we're saying unloaded rifle, we're doing the rabbit ears. Like, everyone thinks it's unloaded, but
there's something. There's one in the chamber they didn't know about, and it's one of those situations. Essentially, it's a freak accident. There's not a freak accident at all because they're a weapon.
Yep.
And it's just something that I've never really had to deal with, and so getting involved with guns and being around people with guns a bit more, it's like, whoa, you actually really start to notice that a little bit more. It's nice to see that there is that much care taken with them, and especially going up. And I don't know when that whole accident stuff happened with Clark's, but I've noticed every time I've been there, every single member is really onto it. Like, there's a talk, there's a conversation openly between them all. If anyone's got a rifle, there's talk between them. Okay, have you checked? Show me. Blah blah blah. And it's
awesome.
good.
As it should be. It's a deadly weapon.
Exactly right.
And the thing that, like, I've been around guys hunting where you get back from a hunt and they unload, but then they're carrying their rifle around and they swing it past you. You're like, I don't care if you've just unloaded that or not.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't point that at me, you can't shoot me.
Exactly.
Like, just don't ever point it at anyone.
Once the bullet leaves, it can never be taken back, right? So, yeah.
And it's not hard just to not point it at someone.
No.
But anyway.
I believe my dad actually has a story of, it was like his best friend growing up, I think it was his brother shot one of their friends with a hand rifle. Oh, sorry, a hand pistol. It was they were playing, and there was somehow a real pistol next to their play ones. And yeah, shot one of his friends. I think the friend lived, but Jesus, like, imagine that as a kid. Like, I'm pretty sure he would have been about Ziggy's age, running around and shooting someone. You're like, oh, Jesus.
And then what about the parent who didn't put it away or something?
Exactly.
You know? And that's why we've got these laws about safe storage and everything.
Some gun safety in place. Who would have thought? And so how long have you been going with your dad? Have you gone back every year with your dad out to Burke then?
Pretty much, yeah.
How good.
Yeah.
So what is it, just like every August you just all meet up?
About July, because it always used to be July because all the old boys used to bring their sons.
Yeah, cool.
And we were all in school.
Yep.
So it had to be the July
The
holidays.
holidays. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and now it's just stuck, even though, you know, none of them can handle the cold. None of us are in school anymore, but it's always still July.
So what, you go up and just rug up as much as you can?
Yeah. Big fire and
how good.
Yeah, there's very little shooting that goes on nowadays.
God, it's transitioned a bit.
Yeah, there's a bit of driving around. There's a bit of listening to a lot of ABC radio. But there's still fireworks that get thrown in the showers when you're trying to have a shower. There's still lots of shenanigans.
Still the fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to see they don't lose it.
No. They're losing it. Don't worry about that.
And like, let's talk about actually on the property. Have you noticed a big transition in the animal numbers?
Yeah, there's no sheep anymore because the country just can't hold them anymore.
Wow.
Or it's just not worth you may as well sell the property and cash in because you just can't have many sheep on there now. So
just because like it doesn't hold the feed for them.
Yeah, it's just I think a lot of the country out there is just shit.
Too hard. Yeah.
It's so up and down. But even like we've been there in a couple of years where the feed's really good, but then it just that goes and it just never comes back. And then they've got this little bush out there called woody weed. And that just takes over. Yeah. The only thing that eats it is the wild goats.
Which is actually a question I wanted to bring up because you were just telling me about one of the neighbouring blocks. Can you explain that again? Yeah,
so about 15 years ago, we got asked to stop shooting the goats on the block that we were on because the cockies were rounding them up for sending them off for live export, and they were getting, I think, $16
a head.
Kilo or a head? I think it was a head.
Must be a head.
Yeah, it must be a head. Yeah, of course. And we're like, yeah, fair enough. That's a good price. and I hadn't sort of. I think last time I checked, it was like $100 a head. But you were saying they're like
270 is what I heard from. That was up north. I don't know. Surely it's the same down here. That's northern New South Wales, so it can't be too much different down here.
So 15 years ago, the neighbouring property, was 60,000 acres, but now it's even bigger because it's bought more properties adjoining it. They took the gamble to get rid of all their sheep and cattle, of which I don't think they had many left anyway. Mm-hmm. And they poured a heap of money into goat fencing their entire 60,000 acres.
It's insane.
Which would have cost, God knows.
So much, right?
Surely more than $1 million. Like it's...
Oh, definitely.
It's like hundreds and hundreds of kilometres.
Yeah, that's crazy amount. And you think about goat fence as well. I don't know exactly the layout of this, whether it's the thick stuff at the bottom with the few at the top, or if it's just a high fence.
I think it's still a 5-strand.
Yep.
Then I think they put like a 6-inch by 6-inch mesh over that
to stop them.
Yeah,
to
stop them getting under and through, and that there's obviously a bottom strand right on the ground to stop them getting under.
Yep.
And then I feel like maybe the top 2 strands are barbed wire. It's a serious fence. It's a lot different to a sheep fence, that's for sure.
And then they've put ramps so the goats can still get into their property but can't leave.
Yes. Yeah. And then to round them up, I was mentioning this before, to round them up, they don't round them up anymore. They just put a goat fence around every dam on the property and they've got one-way gates that they leave open all the time so the goats can just come and go. And then when they want to round a heap up, they just shut the one-way gates.
Jump the fence and then they sit in there.
A couple of days later, they come back and there's 200 or 300 goats in there, and they back the trailer up and push them in, and that's it.
So insane.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? I mean, you're looking at what? That's like, is that $400,000? 200 by 200? 40,000. $40,000 just for that, for a little muster of some goats.
Oh, right. Yeah, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, I was trying to keep track of what you're
Yeah,
adding
sorry,
up.
I was doing
Sorry,
my
mate,
own.
I left school in year 2.
40 or 50K just for putting that in place. And I guess if you'd been doing that for year after year, that $1 million fence gets paid off pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially if the price has gone up like it has.
That much.
Far
Yeah,
out.
it's wow, that's pretty impressive. It's interesting. So, hunting's been your background since what, 12 roughly? We'll say.
Yeah. 12. Bang
yeah.
on 12. Yep.
Did you move away from it and you've come back to it, or you kind of just?
I think I did. Like I pretty much only went up that once a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only block we had access to, and it's like a 12-hour drive
Yep.
by the time you stop and muck around and that. So
It's a trek.
yeah, it's a big trek, and then I obviously got married and had kids, and so I didn't move away from it. I just didn't get much more into it. But I was always interested in, always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then it's funny, even when I was really young, Dad and I spoke about maybe getting a bow one day,
Okay.
but we just couldn't justify, doing that with the amount of time we actually hunted. But so probably when I moved up to Port Stephens, actually, I started meeting a couple of blokes who did hunt and had access in the hunter or the upper hunter, and then probably getting into Instagram too, like starting
Start to see it all.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, and starting a bit of a network and getting to chat to people, and that sort of got me a bit more back into it, and particularly deer hunting, because I'd never seen a deer in the wild.
Yeah.
I only saw my first deer in the wild this year.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'd never
What was
been.
it, a red stag? Red deer.
Yeah, red. Yeah, yep, yeah. I've seen some small fallows, but so I've seen both now.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, with a weapon in my hand. But that was the first time I'd ever been deer hunting, let alone seen one.
Seen them, yeah.
So which is, they just fascinate me, the old deers. So
Oh, they're incredible. They really are.
still yet to take one. I'm still yet to point something at one.
Hopefully this weekend, hey?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And so you use both items. You've got a bow and a gun.
Yeah, I've got many guns, and I feel like majority of my shooting career, I've never really eaten any of the meat. It was never. Dad and his mates never did it, so I sort of never
bothered.
come across my desk. No,
Yeah.
so but then now that I've got the chance to go out deer hunting, it's like all of a sudden I've been opened up to this massive opportunity and resource that we've got to eat this
definitely.
incredible meat, and I've definitely started getting into that. Even though I haven't shot one, I've been with people that have, so I've enjoyed the spoils.
Good part about being a part of the camp. In
Yeah,
general.
that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll do the washing up, boys. Whatever. But so I have a bow now that I've taken 4 critters with, 2 goats and 2 pigs. But I feel like the rifles will still always be a part because, to be really successful with the bow, you got to put a lot of time in, and sometimes you can be out a whole week and it just doesn't work. So
I was thinking about this today actually because I had a long drive, so I had a lot of thinking to do, a lot of time to do the thinking. And pretty much like some of the properties down here in particular that we've kind of come to visit / some of the ones that I've seen neighbouring like within a few hours, let's say, have just ridiculous numbers compared to some of the blocks I've been on. Like I pretty much get one opportunity when I go hunting in Queensland. It's like one opportunity for a day sort of situation, or for the morning and for the afternoon. Most of the time with the red deer in particular, if I stuff it up in the morning, I don't see them again in the afternoon.
wow.
So it's like I literally have one turn at it. And so however many weekends I've gone out is however many stalks essentially that I get to do.
Yep.
Whereas I was watching some videos and stuff, and literally from like Tamworth and the surrounding country around here, people are like, oh, well, there's a mob of pigs over there, there's some goats over here. Oh, there's a good boar over there, and there's 30 pigs over here. And it's just like, which one do I want to go shoot? I'm like, oh my God, like it just... it's just that different world where it's like, I think in that situation, if you had a bow, it'd be great because you get to get out pretty quickly and you get to learn pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And if you stuff up on this one, you turn around and you go for the ones over there instead.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know, I could be wrong, but at the same time, given that I get one opportunity on the reds, for instance, it's taken me a long, long time to kind of get there. And I love that it's taken me time. Like I'm not taking away from my journey at all, but it's just, I think if you've got a bow and you've got a lot of access to it, and so you've got access to a lot of critters, then that would be like the perfect recipe.
100%. Yeah. I think too, what you're saying about the concentration of animals down these kind of areas, I think you're probably right. There is a bigger concentration, but I think you've got to know where to look too.
Oh, 100%.
Like I've been on big properties out here with, mates that I've been invited out with, and we don't really know the properties.
Yep.
And we've gone all around. We know these are really good properties, and
Just can't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we see some, but it's nothing like what everyone on Instagram seems to see. So I think you've still got to get up early. You got to know what you're doing.
Put the miles in. Yeah.
You got to know where to look and what the wind's doing and everything. So
definitely.
they're not literally on every face.
No, unfortunately.
You've still got to know where to look. Yeah.
But yeah, and I think obviously the first part is patterning the animal and finding their locations. The next part is with the bow. It starts where the rifle kind of ends, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, and it's that next part is, I don't know, 100% harder, I would say. Like, it is so much tougher to walk into an animal and get close enough with the bow.
Closer, it gets like 100% harder.
Yeah, exactly. And so with your bow setup, I actually thought this was great. In our text message in the lead up to this, you were kind of like, I paced out, 15 and 25 meter pins, and that's it. That's what you've done. And you paced it out because you don't have a rangefinder, so you did it with your actual steps.
Yeah, and I can't do it. Like when I say paced, I tried to pace a metre.
Yeah.
But I don't have a rangefinder, and that's as big as my backyard is. So I'm like, my top two pins, I think, are set at 15 and 25-ish.
So what happened when you actually came across the goats and the pigs that you've taken then? How did that work out with the bow?
I just try and get so close that I have to use the top pin.
Got you. Yep.
Yeah. I'm just like, well, surely that's got to be the top pin by now.
There wouldn't be that much of a gap between your 25 and 15, would there?
No.
In regards to the
No.
So it's kind of like you're within vitals anyway.
I'd like to think so. I was saying to you before, like, I don't quite know why I've been invited here, because I don't think Randy or even you know how becoming a bow hunter I am. Like, I'm pretty green, but yeah, I think I'm okay on the hunting part. It's the bow.
The bow.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'm excited to help you tune your bow in this weekend and actually get it.
Can you do that? Can you?
Yeah, we're going to do it for you, definitely. Right. Yeah, Randy and I both talked about it. We're going to set it all up for you.
I thought you needed equipment
I don't know how extreme we can go with it, like whether we can, I don't know what Randy's skills are. I was just more so meaning setting up your sights and everything properly.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. So you can walk away and you can have the distance out to, what do you have, a 5-pin sight? Do you know? How many pins do you have on it?
I'm
3, 4, 5. Yeah. Checked it out that much.
At least 2. Okay. No, I think there's. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think there's about 5.
5.
Yeah.
So we should have you out to 50 metres, hopefully by the end of the weekend. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Did you bring your cube out? Because I didn't bring mine.
No, she and Randy had one.
Hopefully he brings one.
I had room too.
Yeah, hopefully he brings one. Otherwise, we're not shooting you. Might be a different story.
Just leave the pins where they are.
And so, is bow hunting something that you kind of want to get into more and more, or is it just based on depending on what the time is? I
think it depends on a few factors. It depends on what property I'm on, how much time I've got, if I've got meat in the freezer. Mm-hmm. I think it'd depend on a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely.
I enjoy it. You're just walking around the hills with a bow on your back. You just feel a bit badass.
Definitely.
I like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just went and did my gun safety course, as I was talking about, and I need to apply for my license. I haven't done it yet. But that whole thing is like, I want to be able to fill the freezer whenever, right? Yeah. Having that tool is just so great. And being able to do that would be amazing. But there's still part of me that goes, do you really want to get your license? I'm like, yes, because of those reasons.
Yeah. It's
but
just
do you
practical.
really want to get your license?
It's
Like,
practical.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just still think about it because I love bow hunting that much. It really has. It's crazy how much it's become just a part of my life. Like it's just become this big passion that's kind of overtaken my adult years. It's interesting.
Yeah, nice.
It's interesting.
I'm always so, I won't say jealous, that's a bad word. I'm always so envious of people that have like one thing that they're so passionate about.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wish I just had that one thing, but I've got like
A lot of them.
100 things that
Yeah.
I'm very interested in.
I'd say I'm much the same in a sense, but yeah, bow hunting's definitely kind of taken a lot of my interest.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think just being able to get away, I find it just clears my head. Like I'll go back, and my wife knows this. I'll go back and I'll be a better man for it. I'll be a better husband for it. I'll be a better dad for it. Like it
good's
refreshes
that?
me as an individual.
Yeah,
and she's
yeah.
like, I'm so happy for you to go away on these trips because of that reason.
How good's that?
Yeah, and so we've got this good agreement where I get to go away once every month, every other month, something
Yep.
like that, just to make it happen. And if I come home with the meat, then that's great. She's
Yep.
like, this is awesome. So
And if you don't, you've come home and you're
a better man.
bearable to be around.
Yeah. She has to remind me sometimes, though. She's like, look, are you doing it just because you want meat? Because if you are, go get a gun. I'm like, yes, Stacey, all right. But yeah, no, that's cool. And so this weekend, what are your thoughts?
Mate, like I said in the chat, I'll just be happy to see a deer,
Yep.
close up.
Yep.
That will excite the shit out of me.
Yeah, amazing.
Like, I'm still so, like, as growing up rifle hunting, if it was 80 or 100 metres away, you take the shot.
Yeah.
You know, I've never been so close to animals when they don't know that I'm there.
Yeah.
And so that's what's been really cool about bow hunting. Like I said, I've only shot 4 critters, but just being so close, and also how silent it is, and how calm and peaceful it is. There's no big bang
definitely.
and everything runs off. Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like it's such a, I don't know. It's very emotional.
It is, definitely.
because you're up close and personal. You can see the animal's face. You know, like
You're watching its reactions.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I like that, exactly what you just said about it not stirring the whole place up. Like you can shoot an animal in a mob, and the mob will move on 20, 30 metres sometimes and stop, and then they're just done.
Yep.
Whereas it doesn't necessarily happen that way with a rifle.
Nah, never.
They'll run for a long time.
Yeah, rightly so.
Yeah,
What the
definitely
shit
big
was
boom. And so a few routes I want to go. One is you have started to sprinkle in some of your content into the Blonde Nomads,
Some of the hunting content.
some of the hunting content,
Yep.
because
which is a gamble.
it is a gamble.
risky.
And it's interesting because really it's something that it should just be innate to us. It should just be something that we do.
100%.
It's where we came from.
Yep.
But there is that whole dogma around hunting where it is seen, unfortunately, in the woke world as such a bad thing.
And
Which
unnatural.
is so interesting because
it's the most natural thing you can do.
I think there's 10% of the world, maybe even less, that are vegans.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, why are we so disconnected from this then?
Yeah.
If 90% of all individuals are eating meat, why is it such a bad thing to go and
Yeah.
hunt? Which I actually found, that was my thought on it, based on what a lot of the content that gets shared. But when I've posted about hunting in particular, the majority of people, and I don't know if it's just because the people who don't like it don't post as such, majority of people come and say, that's amazing. Can I learn more from you? Like, how do you get into this? What is this? Good on you for going and taking control of your own meat. And it's actually a very positive view in the sense where I'm like, I want to share more of it on my own page, but not sharing anything that's too gruesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, not showing much of the blood shots or anything like that. Not showing a grip and grin, for instance, but showing the meat hauls that we get. Showing just out in the wild and being with the animals and stuff like that, which is a lot of what you've been doing through Blonde Nomads. What's the response been like for it?
It's been really, really good, hey? Like, no hate. A couple of interesting conversations that I've engaged with, like some of our long-term followers.
Yep.
Had really good text exchanges with them about, you know, just questioning their thoughts and them questioning, you know, why I do what I do, and it's been, by and large, the response has been awesome.
Is it in a sense of like they're questioning why you're doing it? Is that what it kind of comes from, and that's where it stems from, or is it?
I'm thinking of this particular lady. She wrote back to one of my posts and just said, trophy hunting is abhorrent. And I said, well, like, define trophy hunting, And we went through this whole thing, and then I sent, you mentioned the grip and grins. I sent her a photo of me holding a massive Spanish mackerel that I shot with a spear in Western Australia. Huge, 1.4 metre mackerel. And I said, so what's the difference between that and an animal that, a furry animal? And she was talking about deer at this stage, and she said, "Oh, well, yeah, but the fish didn't have a movie made about it." She was referencing Bambi. I blame friggin' Disney or whoever made all that shit. But it was just a really good exchange that we had. And,
definitely.
I said, "Look, it's not about the trophies. It's about being out in nature and gathering some meat and pest control and helping the farmers, helping the native Australian animals and flora, and it's." Like I said, by and large, it's been really supportive, which is great.
Awesome.
And I think, like you touched on, it's how you present it.
Definitely.
And what you focus on.
You're not going out posting the yeehaws and everything because you've killed an animal.
Exactly right, yeah.
It's interesting because part of me really just wanted to show the whole process of this is it. What I really want to try capture a bit this weekend, if we are successful, is more of the butchering side. Because many people say, how do you butcher it?
Yeah.
Like, what is the process?
Well,
do you do it yourself? I'm not going to obviously show the whole thing.
Well, don't show me because I don't know anything about it, mate.
But it's
I was telling someone the other day that I'm not fantastic at butchering. I've got, when I went away for the raw, my two mates both got stags, so I've got a heap of red deer meat in the freezer at home, and I butchered it from the legs. I broke it all down from the legs and everything. So I've got I've got it all cryovac, and I've got two different labels that I wrote on them.
Slow cook.
Backstrap, and there's leg meat. I don't know what part of the leg it is, but it's the leg. That's about all I know. But it's delicious.
It is delicious.
Yeah.
And that's actually like the biggest thing I get asked is like, well, where do you take it to get butchered? Like, who does it for you? I'm like, I do it. Like, and they're like, how did you learn that? And it was literally mine was from YouTube, pretty much.
Yeah.
Watching lots of YouTube, and then I find every time you go out with a new hunter, they've usually got their own little way of doing a few things.
Yeah, true.
I was talking to Randy today about it actually, and I said, "Oh, how long will it take you to gut and skin a fallow?" He's like, 10 minutes.
Shit.
Like,
wow.
Like, you can do all the work this weekend. Hopefully.
Like I said, I'll do the washing up.
No, I'm excited. I think we're in for a really stellar weekend. It's funny, we're sitting under like, what would you say?
I was just looking at your eyes, look it up.
50 different cast antlers maybe?
Yeah.
Thereabouts.
All
maybe
fallow,
not that many, but yeah,
fallow
just
by the
different
look of it,
fellows.
just hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love coming to just new spaces, and this is in general, going to a new space and learning about kind of the local culture. And in this situation, we've come to a little hunting block, and so learning about the local area in general is pretty cool. And I think because he's kind of got a few neighbouring blocks, he's got so many different stories that he's got from all these different backgrounds, which I'm excited to kind of learn about as well. It's I think, like you were just saying before, part of your favourite thing is getting to learn about new people, getting to meet those new people and do that stuff.
Just all the experience.
Yeah.
Like you said, you said, what are your thoughts on the weekend? I said, I'm just happy to see one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be
Happy
wrapped.
to be here.
If we get one, far out, that's even better.
Definitely. I have some big ambitions for this weekend. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, awesome.
So are you willing to talk about maybe one of your goat hunts or one of your pig hunts, how it came together with the bow?
Yeah,
let's go for it.
All right.
Which is your favourite?
I'll go the first critter I took, I reckon. I'll go a goat. So this was the second time I ever took the bow out.
Awesome.
This was, I think, 6 weeks after I bought it.
Amazing.
The bow secondhand. So I don't even think I had a target by that stage. Anyway, so I went up to a block not too far from here. A mate of mine has a cabin at a place in the Upper Hunter here, and he's kind enough to let us go there. So I've been there with Trace and the kids once, and went for a bow hunt. Didn't do any good. So took my dad up there the next time. And this place has no reception at all. So I left Dad on the veranda of the little stone cabin, drinking his rum and coke and playing his harmonica.
Good.
Literally.
That's amazing.
And
is he good at it?
yeah, he's all right, yeah. You
Nice.
can
That'd be a
understand
good thing to have around camp,
what
I
song
think.
is it? Yeah, for a little while. Not all night. Anyway, so I said, I'm going to go for a big walk, like I don't know how long I'll be, 4 hours or something.
Yeah.
So I went for this big walk. I didn't drive anywhere first. I just walked. And I think I was about 2 hours in, and I thought, I better turn around now, It means I'll be about 4 hours away from Dad, And I was literally about to turn around. I'd sort of gone halfway up this little steep creek, and I heard, meh. That's a goat, by the way.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh. So, I just slowly followed them up and listened and everything. Anyway, long story short. Well, no, you want the story, don't you? Right, short story long. I went up this, little creek, and I could hear them like up the opposite bank, sort of, 20, 30 metres up the bank, up the rocky slope. It flattened out at the top, and it was like a little grassy patch. And I could hear them up there, and every now and again I'd see one go past, and they were kind of pacing up and down. And so I thought, I'm going to have to go up there and just see if I can just poke my nose over.
Yep.
Just wait for them to come past. And so I crossed the creek, and I was halfway up this sort of rocky slope, and then the goats were about 50 metres sort of downstream from me, and they decided to drop down this rocky slope to about my level.
Oh, I got
so
you.
I'm sort of stuck in no man's land behind this tiny little bush. And, oh, shit, like, what do I do now? And I think there was about 6 or 8 of them.
Yep.
And they started feeding, traversing back towards me.
Oh, amazing.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Amazing. This is what you read about. And so here's me, like, so green, it's not funny. No rangefinder, I had the 2 pin set. I knew that was good because I think Toby must have done that to me when we set the bow up, when I picked it up from him. And so the goats came past, and they were a little bit above me, like probably 15 metres above me, and they come right square to me. And I lined this billy up and shot, and it didn't do anything. And I'm like, this is what I read about. They don't even feel the arrow sometimes. He didn't feel it because it missed him. I don't know if it went under him or over him. Probably under him because I was shooting uphill, and I didn't know that you had to allow for that. Anyway,
The third axis, yeah.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm still learning. And so then this other one sort of came close, and he was looking right at me, and I was halfway through a step, and any bow hunter would have had this experience where you're holding there and
hard.
I was strung out like the Greek god Eros. Like I had my back legs, lengthened out behind me on my tiptoes, and my legs started shaking, and I'm like, and then he just moved a little bit, and I was behind this little bush so I could draw. And he just poked out, and I don't know what I did different, but I hit like absolutely sweet spot.
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
like straight through the vitals. And you could see, all the stuff was coming out and everything, and it was just quiet. And all the other ones were just looking around, like, what was that clang? Because the arrow had a pass through, and but I was shaking like a leaf. My heart's racing now just thinking about it. Like it was just the most amazing up close encounter experience, and. This thing walked 4 metres and just dropped down dead.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was epic.
Like the perfect first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I went up to it. Was a young billy. It had a little set of horns. So I thought, I'm going to take the head of this one. But the whole time I'm thinking, I've got to get back to Dad. He's probably worried sick about me, because we've got no phone reception.
Yeah.
He's on his own there,
Playing harmonica.
Yeah.
Just having a ball.
That's what I thought. But when I finally got back, he was like, I didn't know where to drive. Like I don't know how to get out of here. And I couldn't ring anyone. And like, I was worried, but I wasn't, but he said I was. But anyway, I got back and I've got this goat's head, and he's like, oh yeah, you got one. He said, oh, by the way, when I was sitting on the veranda here playing the harmonica, He said, I heard this snorting, you know. He said, so I looked up the hill behind me and there's 4 pigs walking past.
No way.
I'm like, what did you call them in with the harmonica?
The pig whisperer, that's what I was going to say.
The pig piper. I'm like, you mean to tell me I just walked 6 hours and I could have just stayed here and shot them? Anyway, yeah, so that was my first goat. So,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you take the meat from him?
No, I didn't. And I regret it because I just kept thinking of Dad back there, you know,
just
like just worried.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was quite worried, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I wish I did. I mean, at the time I was like, I've got to get back. But realistically, it would have taken me 5 minutes to knock a leg off.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, in hindsight, I should have done it.
It's a good lesson for moving forward then, I guess, right? There's always time. And if there's not, there's 5 minutes to knock the front legs off. They're the easiest because there's no connection.
Yeah.
So you just literally run your knife up the inside and you're done.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
2 front legs, you're good.
Yeah.
Actually, the story that I wanted to kind of go back to was your story about buying the bow from Toby, because of recent, I've had a lot of people reaching out asking the exact same thing that you were kind of asking Toby in regards to there's a few different variations of...
This Toby Hines we're talking about?
Yeah, so there's a few different variations of kits on eBay or something like that you can buy for $300, $400 where you can get the bow, the release aid, the broadheads, the arrows, everything pretty much set up from a hunting-ready bow.
Yep.
And they always ask me and say, look, I don't have a big budget, but this is what I want to get. What do you think? And my response is always no. Don't get it. And it's the same thing that you actually had with Toby.
Yeah.
And it was the same bit of advice that got given to me. So let's talk that out a little bit. What happened?
So I hadn't met Toby at this stage, but we'd been interacting on Instagram quite a bit. And, I DM'd him and said, look, mate, I'm thinking about a bow. I'm looking at these little Chinese ones, kits on eBay, you know, any recommendations? And he's like, no, not really. He said, I'd suggest getting a good second-hand one.
Yeah.
And he said, I just happen to know a bloke, i.e. him, who was selling his compound. And, so he put a new string on his compound for me and painted it all up. And he actually organised some arrows and broadheads and release aid and everything. So I just turned up and he had everything all ready for me, ready to go, which was very kind of him. Yeah,
definitely.
He helped me, you know, shoot it a couple of times and we set the top 2 pins. In fact, that's probably where the top 2 pins are still set at.
From when he did it originally.
Yeah. So maybe I've just pasted out to suit the pins.
You just know that's where it is. And I think that's sound advice. And realistically, there's different forums in particular on Facebook where you can do exactly that. Buy your secondhand boat. So for instance, I think it's like a archery buy, swap, sell or something like that.
Oh yeah. I'm a member of a couple of those pages. Yeah.
Yeah,
groups,
and every once in a while, all the time, you see bows pop up on that, and that would definitely be my first reference. Is like go there and sit and wait. Like you can spend, like you said, $500 and potentially get a full setup and be good to go. Versus if you get one of the cheap, shitty ones, and why I always recommend not getting one of those, and why I got recommended not to get one, is that they're not tunable when you get them. They're so fidgety and so messy, essentially, to deal with that you can't get any sort of consistency from it.
Yep.
I think they are probably more so the case of turning people away from archery than turning people onto archery. People get something like that because they want to dabble, which is very understandable. But if you're dabbling with something that's a horrible experience, you're not going to want to dabble, right? So it's almost like, well, if you're going to spend $500 anyway, why not wait a few months and wait for the right one to come through and then go that option instead?
Well, and the thing is too, like they say, I've got a limited budget, but if you buy that Chinese, kit for $300, $400, $500, and you dabble in it, and a few months later you want to sell it, you get $0 for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas if you buy a good second-hand kit like I did, you dabble in it for 12 months, you could sell it for probably almost what you paid for it.
Definitely.
So,
and the other thing is, obviously, if you buy something like that and you really like it, you're then going to have to go and buy something again.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're looking at double buying anyway.
100%.
Whereas you may as well, like I think my first bow setup was about $1,500.
Yeah, wow.
Which is pretty expensive, but that was for the full setup. That was hunt ready to rumble. And I've still got that bow. I don't use it at all anymore. I should probably sell it.
Yeah, on one of those pages.
I probably should.
To one of the people who's asking you.
It needs it. Yeah. It needs a restring, so maybe I'll do that. I'll do the Toby thing and do a nice job for someone, maybe. It's kind of also sentimental, right?
Yeah,
The first bow.
true.
It's there, so yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Well, mate, where are we at? We've done an hour. That's a good time passer so far.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's a good place to wrap because we're going to talk a fair bit more on the podcast this weekend, I believe.
No doubt.
I think the plan is to try to at least another one, maybe another few if we can. So let's wrap it there. Where can people follow along Blonde Nomads and Rob separately from Blonde Nomads?
So you can find the Blonde Nomads at the Blonde Nomads on Instagram and Facebook, or www.theblondenomads.com.au, and that's where you can find all our adventures.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what about this year? Have you got like shows and stuff coming up? Like, is there anything?
No shows as yet, but as soon as I get back from this weekend, we're packing our new caravan and heading north for 6 weeks.
Amazing.
At least 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Got you. So there's actually not a proper end date to that as such?
If you ask Trace, there is. Yeah. No, it's probably about 6 weeks. No less. Definitely no less.
In your mind, you've got this amazing 2.5 years. Let's go again. Oh, how good. Oh, well, thank you very much for joining me. It's been great. It's been nice to do it in person.
Nice to finally meet.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
That wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, team. If you did have any topics, questions, or you wanted to suggest a guest for Becoming a Bowhunter, you can send me an email at matty@becomingabowhunter.com. If you're enjoying the show or you've enjoyed in particular episodes, please do me a solid and share it around with your friends. If you are not already, please hit the subscribe button, as the more subscribers we get, the higher the podcast gets ranked, and that definitely helps out for showing it to other individuals. If you are not already following me on Instagram, it's at becomingabowhunter.podcast, and on YouTube, it's Becoming a Bowhunter. Get out, team, fling some arrows, get that practice in, and walk those yards in the paddocks until you find those critters. That is it for now, but not the last time that you'll hear from Becoming a Bowhunter.